take a look at one more problem, and it's problem number 8. 5 over 9 minus 3 and 2/5. Okay, so now we're going to be adding and subtracting fractions. Okay, so 5 over 9 minus 3 and 2/5. So as stated earlier, since we are starting off with fractions, our answer should end up with fractions, regardless if it's a mixed number or an improper fraction. So in order for us to continue on with this problem, we need to convert both fractions into improper fractions, or just no mixed numbers. So in other words, this 5 over 9 here, we don't have to mess with this one. But this 3 and 2/5, we do have to change this. So that would be 5 over 9 minus, well, something over 5, but 5 times 3 would be 15. 15 plus 2, well, that would be 17 over 5. So now we have 5 over 9 minus 17 over 5. Now, in order for us to add or subtract fractions, we always have to find the least common denominator. Okay. Now, in order for us to find this one, we go back to elementary school. We look at the times tables for 5, and we look at the times tables for 9. Meaning, 5 times 1 is 5, times 2 is 10, times 3 is 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, and so on. Now for 9, 9 times 1 is 9, times 2 is 18, times 3 is 27, 36, 45, 54, 63, 72, 81, and 90, and so on and so forth. So the first number that both lists come in contact with is 45. So that right there is going to be our least common denominator. All right, now I kind of show this a little differently than some teachers, but it tends to work out. So I'm just bringing these fractions that we had earlier down. Now, both of these fractions are going to be written as something over 45. So it's going to be something over 45 minus something over 45. All right. Now, here's how we figure out what goes in the blank. 9 times what gets me 45? Well, 9 times 5 gets me 45. And then that 5 times this 5, well, that gets me a 25. So let me go over that one more time. 9 times 5 gets me 45. And then 5 times 5, that's where I get the 25 from. Okay, now let's do that same process, but on the second part. What times 5 gets me 45? 9. And then 9 times 17. 9 times 17, well, that gets us 153. So this would be 153 over 45. Okay, so now that we have both fractions with the same denominators, we rewrite them. Both of them are going to have the same denominator, so we just have only one fraction with that same denominator. And then we take 25 minus 153. So 25 minus 153, well, that gets us 128. Now remember, it's negative 128. So we can actually leave it as 128 over 45 because 128 and 45, they don't simplify. Okay, nothing goes into both 45 and 128. So we can leave that just like how it is. Or if you want to, you can write it as a mixed fraction. So, how many times can 45 go into 128 evenly? Well, we know it can at least go into it 2 times because 45 times 1 of course is 45. 45 times 2, that gets us 90. And 45 times 3, well, that gets us 135. Oh boy, we went over. So that means this is going to be 2 and something over 45. So 45 times 2, well, that gets us a 90. Okay. And now 128 minus 90, well, that gets us a 38. In other words, this is going to be rewritten as negative 2 and 38 over 45. You can always double check. 45 times 2, that gets us 90. And a 90 plus 38, well, that gets us 128. So negative 2 and 38 over 45. That would be another equivalent answer. However, you can leave it just as an improper fraction, and it saves you from having to do this. I can take both answers. But remember, since your problem started off with fractions, your answer should end with fractions. Okay? So as always, let me know if y'all have any questions, okay now?